Today we're talking about titles. More specifically, why some titles get clicked and why others get ignored. I'm going to show you the simple shift that makes a title stronger. How the best titles use curiosity, fear, or desire. And how to tell if your title is built for search or browse. Because if you don't understand that distinction, you'll keep writing titles that are clear but don't actually pull the click. Welcome to the Fishing Channel Lab, where I analyze what the biggest YouTube educators are teaching and apply it to fishing creators just like you. And the main thing I want to show you is this. A lot of fishing creators are still writing titles like the job of the title is to explain the video. And to be fair, that feels like the right job on the surface. You make a video about something, so you title it based on what it's about. That feels logical. It feels responsible. It even feels helpful. But that's not the job. Not anymore. A title doesn't win because it's accurate. A title wins because it creates a reason to click. Most people aren't sitting there analyzing your title. They're scrolling. They're glancing. They're making a snap decision. And they're not looking at your title in isolation. They're looking at it next to other titles. Other thumbnails, other faces, other promises. So the question isn't, does this title make sense? The question is, does this title win the next second? Because that's what your title is really competing for first. Not 10 minutes of watch time, not trust, not even the full commitment of the click yet. Just the next second of attention. So the title doesn't have long to work. It has to land fast. It has to feel clear fast. And it has to create interest fast. Fast, clear, and emotional. That's the shift. That's the whole shift. And if you miss it, you can shoot a great video. You can edit a great video. You can upload a great video. And still watch it sink without a splash. People aren't studying your title. They're scanning. They're glancing. They're flicking past it like bank cover from a moving boat. And in that moment, your title has one job. Not to say everything. Not to prove how smart you are. Not to label the footage. Its job is to make them feel something. Not everything, just something. And that something matters more than most creators realize. Because people don't click just because a title makes sense. They click because the title creates a little internal response. A little pull. A little tension. A little need to know more. A lot of weak titles don't just fail to help. They accidentally communicate the wrong thing. They communicate, you've seen this before. There's nothing new here. You can watch this later. Later is where a lot of videos go to die. A little curiosity, a little fear, a little desire. That's it. That's the game. That's what moves the click. The best titles right now tend to press one of those three buttons. Curiosity, fear, or desire. And the reason those three matter is simple. They create an emotional reaction quickly. Not a big reaction, not a dramatic one, just enough to stop the scroll and earn another second of attention. And that's usually how this works. The emotion comes first, the logic comes second. The viewer feels a little pull, then their brain catches up and says, okay, maybe this is worth watching. Curiosity says there's something here you don't know yet. It opens a loop. It makes the viewer feel like there's a piece missing. And now they want to close that gap. It doesn't have to tell them everything. It just has to tell them enough to make the missing piece feel important. Fear says keep doing it this way and you'll keep losing. It doesn't have to be fear in a big dramatic sense. It could just be fear of making a mistake. A fear of wasting time, or a fear of missing a better result. For fishing creators, that might be losing fish. missing bites, fishing the right bait the wrong way, or spending hours on the water without a real plan. Desire says there's a better result waiting on the other side of the click, a better outcome, a better process, or a better way to get to the thing they already wanted. More fish, bigger fish, faster clarity, less guessing. And in most cases, a stronger title is doing at least one of those three things. It's showing me a new angle, a new consequence to care about, or it's showing me a payoff I want. That's why some titles feel fresh even when the topic is new. The topic may be old, but the angle feels new. And most creators never get past the label stage. They name the topic, the bait, the species, the season, but they never create tension. They tell you what the video is about, but they don't give you a reason to feel like you need to watch it right now. Spring bass fishing tips. Okay, I get the topic. How to fish a great frog. Cool, I get the topic. Bank fishing for big bass. Fine, still just the topic. And that's the problem. Topic alone doesn't pull the click. Topic plus tension does. That's the shift again. Not just topic, topic plus tension. So now those same ideas start sounding different. The spring bass mistakes most anglers keep making. Why your frog isn't getting blowups. The bank detail that helps you find bigger bass faster. Same world, same niche, same general idea. But look at what changed. The title isn't just naming the subject anymore. Now it's hinting at a mistake, or a missed result, or a specific advantage. That's why it feels stronger, not because it's more hyped up, because it has more tension built into it. And this is the part most creators miss. The problem isn't always the topic. A lot of the time, it's the packaging of the topic. Same idea, different frame, different level of tension. And that can be the difference between a title people notice and a title people scroll past. But now there's pull. Now there's tension. Now there's a hook in the water. And that matters because YouTube is not a library first. It's a battle for attention first. On YouTube, people aren't always looking for the best information. A lot of times they're responding to what catches their attention first. And that's why the way a title is packaged matters so much. Not just what it says, but how it makes the viewer feel as they see it. And the title doesn't just affect the click, it affects the way the whole video is received. Because the title of the video sets the frame. It tells the viewer what to look for. It tells the viewer what kind of payoff to expect. So if the title is vague, the video can feel vague. If the title is sharp, the payoff feels sharper too. So on Browse, on the home page, nobody asked for your video. Nobody went looking for it. You showed up in their path. You interrupted their scroll. So your title has to do more than explain. It has to interrupt. It has to create a snap reaction. A tiny spark. A little internal, wait, what? That little moment? That's what gets the click. And this is why Browse is so hard for most creators. In search, the viewer arrives with context. In Browse, you have to create the context. You have to create the interest. You have to create the need to know. All before the viewer ever decides this topic matters to them. Now, search is different. Search is a different river. Because in search, the viewer is already trying to solve something. They have a more direct need. So the title doesn't have to create as much interest from scratch. It just has to look like the best match for the thing they already want. In search, the viewer already has intent. They have a question, a problem, a thing they want solved. So now clarity matters more. Now precision matters more. If someone types in how to fish a jig in cold water, you don't need to get cute. You need to match the need. But if that same video is built for browse, now you need a different engine. Because in browse, the viewer wasn't looking for your topic yet. So the title has to create the interest first, before the viewer ever decides to care about the topic. Now it might become the cold water jig mistake costing you bass. Or why your jig stops working in cold water. See the difference? Search matches intent. Browse creates intent. A lot of creators are using search titles for browse videos. And then they wonder why the impressions don't turn into clicks. It's because the title is true but flat, clear but cold. It answers the topic, but it doesn't create enough interest to earn the click. And this is where a lot of fishing creators get stuck. They do a fine job of describing the content, but they don't do a strong enough job of selling the relevance of the content. And fishing YouTube has another problem too. Too many titles sound the same. Giant bass, insane day, epic bite, crush them. After a while, it all blurs together, like 10 white spinnerbaits in a stained water. When every title uses the same hype words, none of them feel distinct. The words start losing their power. And that's another reason why being more specific wins. It feels more believable, more grounded, more real. What stands out is being more specific. What stands out is consequence. What stands out is a clear payoff. Not bigger words, better angles. Not more hype, more tension. Not just what the video is about, but why the viewer should care right now. That's the real question, not what is this video about. The real question is, why should I care right now about this from you? And if your title can answer that fast, you've got a shot. Because that's what a good title really does. It doesn't just label the video, it positions the video as worth attention. It makes the video feel relevant, timely, useful, or too interesting to ignore. So for fishing creators, here's the reframe. Stop writing titles like you're filing footage. Start writing titles like you're setting the hook. Set the hook with tension, with consequence, with a desired result. Give the viewer a gap they want to close. That doesn't mean clickbait. It means packaging. It means taking a true idea, a real idea, a useful idea, and repackaging it in a way that makes the right person need to know more. And that's a big difference. Clickbait overpromises. Good packaging clarifies the most interesting part of the truth. So here's what I want you to do. Don't just go rewrite random titles. Because if you only rewrite the words, but you don't change the thinking behind the words, you'll end up making the same mistake again. So go pull up your last 10 videos. Look at the titles like a stranger would. Not like the creator, but like the viewer. And as you read each one, ask 4 things. Is this just describing the video, or is it creating a reason to click? Is this built for search, or is this built for browse? Does this hit curiosity, fear, or desire? Or does it hit nothing at all? And most important, would this title stop me if I saw it cold? Because that's the test. Not whether it makes sense to you, but whether it makes someone else need to know more. Then I want you to find the pattern, your pattern. Not just look for a bad title, look for the repeated instinct behind the bad title. Maybe every title you write sounds like a tackle label. Bait, species, season. Maybe you keep naming what the video is about, but never why it matters. Maybe your titles are too safe, too clean, too generic. Maybe they're too search heavy. Maybe they tell the topic, but never sell the payoff. Maybe your title tells me what you did, but not why I should care. That's the real win here. Seeing your default. Because once you can see the pattern, you can fix the pattern. Once you can see the pattern, you can fix the pattern. So go take your worst title from the last 10. Not the best one, but the worst one. And don't just rewrite it once, rewrite it 3 times. One version for curiosity, one version for fear, and one version built on desire. Because that forces you to stop thinking about the title as a label and start thinking about it as an angle. It forces you to ask a better question. Not just what is this video about, but what is the most compelling way to frame this video? Then read them out loud. Feel which one has the most pull. Feel which one creates the most tension. Feel which one makes the right viewer lean in the fastest. That's your next step. Not just writing better titles, but building better title instincts. Because once your instincts get better, your titles get better, your clicks get better, and your channel gets better. And that's when you stop just posting fishing videos and start packaging them in a way that people can't ignore.